Okay, here we are, Sunday evening. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all over the world. Dobson777a here. It's another wonderful day we've had. We had a squall line come through, and looks like we're going to have several evenings of much cooler weather. In fact, towards the end of the week, I think it was Thursday night or something, we're going to have potentially freezing weather. That's a little farther out there, so we can't say for sure that's going to be accurate. I've seen these things change a few degrees here and there, but I've been much slower this year getting plants out into the garden because if you remember last year, I had kind of a disaster. Luckily, I got my greenhouse, and so I had backup plants for the original plants, but it's a pain in the butt to kind of start over. So I lost a lot of tomato plants and pepper plants last year. So, starting a little bit later, learning from my lessons I had last year, still growing the majority of the things from seed, hopefully everything from seed this year. But I planted my lettuce out into the ground, the things I'd started from seed in the greenhouse. And so that's in the ground. And my onions and everything are looking great. I've got some video I've taken to show you that, but it's important to keep practicing, learning how to do this. Now, I've got a couple subjects I wanted to cover tonight. One of the things it came across in my LinkedIn. I don't know how many of you guys have LinkedIn, but occasionally there's some really nice sayings that people have. And I wanted to give you an example of unbelievable example of love that this guy had for his wife. Said he's 85 and insists on taking his wife hand in hand wherever they go. When I asked why your wife is distracted like she wasn't following anyone, he replied, she has Alzheimer's. So I said, will your wife worry if you let go? He replied, she doesn't remember. She doesn't know who I am anymore. She hasn't recognized me for years. Surprised, I said, and you still continue to guide on the way every day, even though she doesn't recognize you? The elderly man smiled and looked into my eyes. He said, she doesn't know who I am, but I know who she is. She's the love of my life. So I think this is so rare today. So many people dispose of their spouses. It's ridiculous, truthfully. This is not the way God intended. God intended us to be married for life. If he put you together, nobody should be taking you apart. So these people that decide to dispose of you, they're the ones that are going to have to answer to this later. But this is the way it was meant to be, and this is the way many of my family members have been throughout their life. Although I've seen, many others fall by the wayside. But it's kind of no different even at work. We had a lot of people that made it stay in the same place forever. And then we had others that it's almost like war. You see people fall by the wayside for health reasons, mental issues, all that kind of stuff. But anyways, in marriage, it's for better, for worse, for all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to kind of put that out because that really kind of touched me. Ode MMC, hello, and Jewelry Affairs. So I have something else I wanted to share with you. Many of us are givers, right? It seems like, oh, thank you. Happy birthday, Dobson. How do you guys know it's my birthday? That's exactly right. I turned the big 6-1 today. Anyways, I wanted you to think about when you are a giver. I didn't bring a cup with me. Oh, let's say I got this cup here. When you're a giver, you keep pouring yourself out into other people. At some point, you got to fill yourself back up. Okay? Because if you keep giving, it's kind of like a battery, right? You got a battery and you keep depleting the battery. Pretty soon you can't perform. It's the same thing like if you're trying to perform at work. You got to have a way to recharge yourself. And I found this article, 33 practical ways to fill your cup when life gets hard. But you just got to realize that you can't be any good for anybody else. And this is the biggest problem with caregivers. So many times when you're caring for other folks, it really is draining. It's probably the most thankless job that you could ever have. So I want you to make sure that you somehow fill your cup. And if it's not from the other person, you're going to have to figure out other ways to do that. And this article kind of talks about it. I wanted to read some before I tell you all the different ways you can do it. Here's some fill your cup quotes. Self-care is not selfish. You can't pour from an empty cup. Take time to do what makes your soul happy. When the well is dry, we know the worth of water. That was Ben Franklin. An empty lantern provides no light. Self-care is the fuel that allows your light to shine brightly. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. Think about how many problems you've solved with your computer when it like gets all backed up with all the files and everything. When you turn that thing off and back on again, it clears the cache and gets things working again. So that's kind of a lesson for you as well. There's even some Bible verses. So Psalm 23:3, he restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Now the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, that you may abound in hope through the power of the Holy Ghost. Great is my boldness of speech towards you. Great is my glorying of you. I am filled with comfort. I am exceedingly joyful in all tribulation. That's all King James, which is not the greatest version for understanding, but that's what a lot of people know. All right, so let's talk about the 33 practical self-care ideas, and these are simple. So 1, do a hobby you love. Learn a new hobby. Go for a walk. Go hiking. Call a friend. Call your mom. Read for pleasure. Watch TV. Play a video game. Oh, by the way, talking about watch TV, I got the Justified series. I don't know how many episodes there are. There's like 16 CDs, and I think there's 4, what do they call it? Not channels, 4 4 shows per CD. So that gives you a rough idea how many of those things are on there. Play a video game, draw or paint, sit outside, do yoga, go fishing, try a restaurant you've never tried before, take a bath or a shower, put on makeup, even if you plan to stay home, watch a movie, play a card game, look up something you're curious about, watch YouTube, read your Bible, go to church, give someone a hug, order dessert, garden. I'm going to tell you right now, garden kind of covers a lot of different things because you're learning all the time. So it's like learning a new thing, and you've got different seasons. So it gives you significant time outside and just doing things. I mean, I've got my greenhouse full production again. Plant flowers. That's all kind of part of the gardening. Plan a camping trip. Go for a horseback ride. Actually found a place up near me here that they have. It's almost like a little timeshare, but they've got horseback riding and everything up there, but they also have rodeos a couple times a year. So I'm thinking about looking into that because I thought that might be fun. Take a bike ride, take a nap, sleep in, cook a nice meal, learn something new. So I think this is something we all need to be aware that make sure you recharge yourself, because life can get grueling sometimes. I mean, I remember at work, there were times where I had to work 60 hours a week forever, years. And boy, that just burns you out. A minimum of 60 hours a week. It's one of these things that, it's one of those things you need to somehow figure out how to, do this. And I think the thing, just consider yourself as like a battery. You got to recharge yourself. All right, let me see. Greg Steinberg. Hey, Albert J. So he's got an inverter he's working up. Silver Liner. You uploaded a video and all of a sudden it disappeared a couple days ago. Happy birthday. I don't know about one that I uploaded. Oh, you know what it was, folks? I cannot figure out how to do, and this sounds bad, but again, there's not infinite time for me to work on things right now, but I want to do these live streams where I can like split the screen and throw some stuff up pictures, diagrams, other videos, that kind of thing. And I was doing a trial test, trying to get the thing working. And I've done this 3 or 4 times over the last year, and I just haven't been able to figure it out from the various instructions out there. So there's a guy out there, JT Coin Rings. He does some of this stuff. I'm going to have to get him on the phone and have him walk me through it. But I cannot, unfortunately, figure it out. But I'm going to tell you, even with the video editing stuff, which that I've kind of learned how to do that and did very well. I mean, there's like 1,000 variables. So every time you try to do something new, you got to nail down the variables and get it working. Even doing this live stream, there's some tricks involved in here. So once you get the process, you repeat it a few times, you'll memorize it. But it's just like something new. I haven't been able to figure out how to get that working. So that's what that was about. Buy some Bitcoin, Dark Horse says. Theta, silver, gold, platinum, some cash. Sentiment for gold is terrible now. All right, so I've always been a contrarian investor. Currency moves where it's treated best. And when we're in this waffling thing where we had a change of admins, people are kind of watching to see what's going on. We don't know if green energy is going to be the big thing. Looks like infrastructure spending they're talking about. There's all kinds of things like that. So the big money is kind of out there trying to figure out what they're going to do. And so in the meantime, we're going to probably do a little sideways. So we'll see. But I will still argue it would not surprise me if one day you're going to wake up and the gold price or silver price or platinum, all of the above, might be 30% higher, because the currency, they do stuff like this occasionally. And they do it for competitiveness, for international sales and stuff like that. And so if all of a sudden the dollar takes a pretty good crap for one reason or another, you might see something tremendous happen. And it's going to be too late for you to say, oh, crap, I should have bought when I didn't buy. But anyways, thank you. Happy birthday to me. So we'll see how that works out. So what do you think about the, making sure you recharge yourself? Especially, we've had a lot of stress over the last year. I think it's drove a lot of people crazy. I know a whole bunch of people that are having marital problems and everything else. And I think it's because of the stupid world that we're living in. They're tightening the thing. And I've told you before, you need to get your spiritual self, your mental self, you need to get it tough. You need to get real tough, because I don't think it's over. I think there's going to get worse and worse. And just think about it. They're tightening the screws. I want you to be the toughest you can be. And by the way, if you got some health problems, this is the time to kind of get it squared away, because I think, just like we saw last year, wow, Lawrence, $10 thrown my way. Thank you very much. I actually went and got a steak dinner tonight. Where was that? I can never remember the name of the restaurant. I love that place, though. It's one of those, I don't know. There's like 3 or 4 places that I go to over time, but I've got a big old porterhouse. I only ate the filet side, but anyways, I got some for breakfast in the morning. I'll fry some eggs, maybe some onions and mushrooms and everything. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is really not available. I tell you, I'm just like one of the healthiest persons. I got nagging little problems that creep up on you. I got something going on in my foot, but I wasn't wearing the right shoes, and I was doing all that, log splitting and everything. And I put a type of stress in my foot. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but I'm hoping it just goes away. I'm going to be just more careful. I put these inserts in my boat shoes so I get the proper, the arch. And, hopefully it'll just go away over time. A lot of times the best thing to do is nothing. Something comes on because of something you did. If you do nothing, it likely will improve. So that's what I'm doing. Anyways, I've been waiting for something to happen to put a couple charts. I keep looking at the data. I keep looking at, in fact, I think I got some things open here. Let's see what the spot prices are and everything. So right now, gold is 1731 and silver is 24.99. And I was going to look at some of these premiums. It looks like platinum is for random 1 ounce American Eagles. It's still like 23%. And you'd have to click on some of these to see availability for things that are in stock. It could be as high as 30%, it looks like. Let's look what silver looks like. American Silver Eagle, random year. Holy crap. So it looks like these are, I forgot to tell you the price for it, but for platinum, but this is like $34 and 38% premium for silver. Gold. Always have to try to find the random year in here to keep it consistent, but here we go. 1 ounce gold American Eagle random year. All right, it's about $18.75 for the price and 7.68% premium. That's like 2 times the previous. You know, in good times, silver is about a 15% premium. Gold is about 3.5% premium, and platinum was probably in the 10 to 12% premium. So everything's blown way up. Not necessarily the best time to go buy this stuff, but that's what it's was doing. All right. Foot exercise for bad feet. That's ode MMC. Charles McClendon. Justified is fantastic. Yeah, let's see. I think I've probably watched 4 CDs now out of the 16, so we're getting in there pretty good. I'll tell you, that's got some of the best writing. It's very intelligent dialogue. I sit there and it just makes me chuckle the way these guys talk to each other. It's hilarious. Silverliner's girlfriend is March 31st. Eviction moratoriums expire at the end of the month as well as the SLR. What do you think will do the markets? All right, so we are going to have not only evictions, but you're going to have short sales and foreclosures, but it's going to take time for the banks to go through that whole process. Is it going to be as bad as what had happened before? I don't know. But it took 4 years last time for this stuff to bottom out. And I've been amazed in the, we'll say outside the big cities is where, you know, I bought my properties. I have been totally immune to a lot of this stuff. I've had one property where I got people behind in rent, but they've been paying and they're making up. But do I think that things are going to get bad here? No, I think anything outside the cities are doing very well. You may be able to get some fire sales for properties inside the cities, but you know, what's the chance of you being able to rent or anything when the majority, I saw something about millennials have exited the cities because it's been locked down. They haven't been able to have their fun and do anything else. So I think they moved back. I don't know if they moved back home or what. There wasn't a really good story behind it to know where they went, but they left the cities. So when will, don't forget to do thumbs up. When will gold hit 2,000 again? Again, I think they're waiting for a path here. We're waiting to see what interest rates will do. They're waiting to see, you know, what the dollar's doing. They're waiting to see any more like infrastructure spending or how many more checks they're going to send out to us. It was ridiculous. There's some statistics out there. If you went and looked at the stimulus package, if they'd have sent it to every you know, whatever it was. Anybody remember the stimulus? I'll just make a number, say $1.9 trillion, I think is what it was. If they had just divided that up among citizens, you would have got something like $20,000. And I didn't do the math on here, but I'm just roughly giving you an idea. Instead, what happened is each one of us got like $1,400. So where do you think the rest of the money went up? Well, guess what? That was paying off the flunkies for the election. So this is really, corruption at its finest, folks. That's my son calling. I'll have to call him back later. Anyways, it gives you an idea of the magnitude of the money that is, our currency that is being created, and how it's, really just, they gave us a token. They threw a couple of dollars in our pocket, but the other folks got, even LA, they got like billions of dollars. Unbelievable. These mismanaged cities, the Democrats paid them off. Silver Gold Bull has Silver Eagles in the 30 taller. Here, let me tell her I got to call him back. Hey, I'm doing a live stream. I have to call you back, okay? Hello? I got to text him back. If it's not one thing, it's another. He's not going to let me go. I will call you back later. I'm on a live stream. All right. It's probably my chance to talk to the grandkids. Yes, I know the SDRs are being created, special drawing rights. They've actually been talking about this for years, and I don't know exactly how that's going to work. Actually, my son has been getting debt-free, which is just as important. So that's where he's at in his life. I think they took their stimulus and they just paid things off. So the Suez Canal thing, I've been following that very closely, and it looks like they're now talking about, they dumped out the ballast, which is kind of, a little bit scary. They dug out the front of the boat, which is really where it's kind of stuck really bad. The back boat is swinging freely now on the high tides. They've only got a couple more high tides in the next few weeks, significant high tides. And they're talking about actually unloading that cargo container ship now. And that is dangerous as hell. If they just unload from the ends, the ship could kind of break in half, is one of the things I read about. So I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do that. I saw a really cool picture where somebody showed these things all stacked up into a pyramid, because it's down there near Egypt. And they said the new pyramid, showing these containers all stacked up in a pyramid off on the side. So I thought that was cute. Yeah, this whole thing about the reason why I think there's going to be a lot of short sales and foreclosures, there's tons of small businesses that were essentially put out of business by the government. It's unbelievable this could even happen. But it's one of those things that this has put a lot of stress on families. And one of my tenants is a family, and I'm working very closely with them to try to help them weather this storm. But man, I'm telling you, this is tough stuff that is going on. A lot of kids are also having mental issues, not being around their friends, being stuck at home. Oh God. Silver Surf Wax. He measures things in hours and days and weeks. But guess what? I never said don't buy silver surf wax. How wrong have I been? Remember, I said 80% gold, 20% silver, 10% platinum, because it's all about maintaining your wealth. This is insurance. This isn't about speculating. If you want to go play speculating, I'm surprised you're not in Bitcoin, out there throwing your money around and watching it gyrate, 100%. I mean, what the heck's wrong with you? You don't understand the concept of investing, apparently. You're just a speculator. So go have fun. Nobody's telling you not to do anything. Remember, this channel is about what I am doing and why I'm doing, and I show you the data behind it. But apparently you don't want to look at data. So good luck with that. A lot of the ships around are going around the Suez Canal now. They are going to go all the way around the Horn, and apparently we got winter coming in and all kinds of stuff. And it's going to add like another, I forget what it was, 10 days to 2 weeks to try to get around. And it's not good. And you've got all these other ships that are kind of stuck in the Suez Canal. It could be weeks before this thing's undone. It's crazy. Yeah, this ship, I don't even know, can that thing be towed with like a bunch of tugboats now in case it is damaged, you know, the rudders and everything else? I mean, that thing's massive. Yeah, we'll have to find out. Right now, remember, my speculation is really in the miners. Silver is an interesting thing, and I put a small amount, but the real problem the silver folks have that, and a lot of people have been following me for a long time, they have actually come into this channel and realized the error of their ways, and they realize that when silver goes parabolic, it collapses so fast, it's an impossible trade. So you put a small amount of your money in there, and then you have a chance to try to play it, but don't be surprised if you miss it because it's fleeting. Yeah, I've tried to talk about, I still have a concern, and that's why I don't do just single things, because remember, single point failures will kill you. So I've already heard that we're going to have toilet paper shortages. Well, I mean, stuff like this with the Suez Canal is a perfect example. Stuff's not going to get here. Everything's going to be backed up. You're going to have shortages because of this. Just in time delivery is a killer, folks. We just don't have the stuff sitting around. So if you don't have your toilet paper, if you don't have your cleaning supplies, if you don't have, because remember, nothing is made in the U.S. that's any consequence. You're going to be screwed. So they're trying to tell you, heads up, folks. Things are going to kind of get wiped out again. You know, forget COVID. They're just constantly looking at ways to, you know, whether this was intentional or not. There's a lot of engineering disasters that are, you know, multi-point failures. You know, we don't know if somebody intentionally did this, but boy, this is a good cork that they stuck in that, and is really going to be a problem. Yeah, a lot of people, they don't realize the amount of silver that's on the sidelines specifically as a speculation. And when they decide that they now have the price they've been waiting for, that silver is going to be dumped on the market, and that's why it collapses. It's going to be a major problem for those holding, and that's why you're going to end up stuck with, you know, people will buy all the way up thinking, oh my God, it's going, because you hear these guys, I hate to say it, David Morgan, everybody else, oh, silver's going to be $1,000. So, you know, when it's getting to 50, everybody starts getting excited and they start buying more silver at $50 thinking they missed it. And then next, you know, it collapses and you're stuck with $50 silver again that you can't sell except for maybe at $15. So you're gonna have to wait another 10 years. So it's a crazy metal to trade. It's just not rare enough to be holding on compared to like gold or platinum. Yeah, no, that ship is humongous. It's like a worst case scenario. They still they still haven't told exactly what happened. They blamed a sandstorm, they blamed, high winds, they blamed all kinds of stuff. They don't really know, why that thing happened. So we may never hear the story, especially if it was intentional, like terrorist type thing. Yeah, I am of the opinion that, and I've been preaching this for a long time, that I think we're going to repeat the 70s. And I think gold and silver both went up. I can't remember off the top of my head. I've shown these charts a million times, 15 times maybe. So the numbers are going to be something like gold in the $20,000 range, and silver was like $200 or something. I forget something like that is the rough numbers. So anyways, you need to use that as a rough guide. History doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it rhymes. So that's all I'm trying to do. Now, are there other factors? Maybe, but man, remember, silver comes out of the ground almost free because it's a byproduct. Now, with gas prices going up and everything, we're going to see an increase in miners. You're going to see an increase in, all the metals, all the tangible assets. And by the way, I've been thinking, a lot of these videos that I do, there's some things that are working in my mind for weeks, and I'm about ready to do another real estate video, because I did a video maybe 2 years ago and I said, guys, I think we're going to see real estate go up 6 to 8 times before the end of this decade. And a lot of people are like, you're full of crap, blah, 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 all this. Well, I'm telling you, mine's already doubled. It's very possible, over the next couple of years, it's going to double again and then double again. And I've talked about, see these gray hairs? I've seen some stuff. The house that I was living in Florida cost $6,000 in 1959 to build it. Okay, I bought it in 1992 for $60,000. I sold it in 2017 for $250,000. So real estate is a very good measure of the loss of purchasing power, of just like precious metals are. So it would not surprise me to see all this real estate that I started buying in 2012 really do something substantial again, especially when they're diluting the currency the way they are. I talked about that a lot of this printing that they're doing, this is just the very beginning part. It was just ripples initially of this printing they're doing. We're going to have a tidal wave of printing where they're going to try to, because that's the way they always try to get out, and they don't realize it's a suicide for the currency. Every single time it always happens. So I want you to realize that, any kind of tangible asset is going to do very well. Some will do better than others, but my speculation is silver, but especially the miners, because of dividends and everything else. So think about that. All right. So Lawrence Franklin says storable food is more valuable than precious metals. When food gets scarce, no one's trading for anything other than agricultural commodities. And I'm hedging that by growing all my own food here. That's as much as I can. Silverliner says, I was listening to a radio show that said half the world's wood pulp supply moves through the Suez Canal. That means that there's going to be a paper supply shortages. Yeah, that could be. I was actually watching a video about these container ships holding, what do they call those wood stoves where they have like the pellets. So they have these container ships that are loaded with these pellets. And apparently these things outgas, and they've had people go down in the holds because of this, that, and the other. And they ended up, some guy passed out, another one goes in to get him, and he passes out. Before they realize it, 4 or 5 guys have gone down, and they're all dead because there's some kind of gas that's put off by these things. We don't think about it because we get a 50-pound bag. The people are using pellet stoves, but there's been a lot of problems with that, and I never thought about it. There's all these unintended consequences, and it's very dangerous on a lot of these ships. When the silver gold ratios tighten, I will convert. Yeah, remember, it's like say 45 to 50 is when I would start converting. 10 years of underbuilding, need 10 million new homes to get back to me. And that was the video that I did. I talked about that. When we went through this starting in 2012, when we had all the short sales and foreclosures, it took like 6 years to get through all of those because they were releasing a little bit at a time. If they'd done it all at once, it would have completely collapsed the housing prices. So during that time, they were not building any. In fact, the whole building industry was decimated. So they've had to rebuild the whole building industry. And so this is going to be something that is going to take time to kind of get caught up. We'll see. I know right now when I put a house up for rent, I get like 20 offers within the first 24 hours. It's amazing to me. So it's a fantastic opportunity. I sure wouldn't be buying right now, but I'm happy what I've got. In fact, I got one property that's churning this week that I've got to go get cleaned up and put on the market. Yeah, trillion here, trillion there. So Silverliner's Place went up 50,000 in a year and a half. That's pretty good. I don't know what that's based on. Is it 50,000 on 200,000 or what? Yeah, 2,000 a month and 2,000 a month till COVID's over. This is what I'm telling you. This is a bow wave, folks. It's coming. They're trying to get you on that UBI, right? Universal basic income or something. Well, Silverliner, I would argue that you're missing a huge point about real estate. And I need to do another video to show you because I've been doing this since 1984, and a lot of people do not understand it is a sheltered investment. So one of the things that you don't think about is the taxes and upkeep on real estate. You forget about the depreciation, and you forget about the capital gains that are sheltered. The depreciation every year, even though I've had substantial income, when you own a business, and a lot of you don't have any concept of owning a business because you're employees. And this is what I learned about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You've got to have a business because all the tax advantages go to a business. When you have a business, all your expenses come out first, and then you pay your taxes. When you're an employee, they're taking your taxes out right away, and then you got to go beg to get your taxes back at the end. And so right now, it's unbelievable to me, the income that my properties generate and the appreciation that I'm getting, and yet it shows virtually no taxable income because of the way it works. And I'll tell you, I've been doing this a long time, and it's a fantastic thing. So I'm just going to tell you, you got to not look at things on the surface. There's much more involved in this, and that's why I read, and you put your plan, and then it will help you understand. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm going to have to bring some books out and show you some of this stuff, but I actually taught classes at work on this because if you teach classes, it really makes you learn even more doing it yourself. And so now I've been practicing this a long time, and when you show this, it's actually most people they can't fathom it because, again, in fact, Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about this. He talks about, an employee is the worst place you can be. You want to be a business owner for that purpose alone. And so probably I've kind of had these rental property for a long time, but it was in 2012 I decided to go all in. And there's another reason. Most people don't think about this. In these states where you have income taxes, guess what? Pensions are exempt at starting at about 62 in Georgia. And most states have made these changes because people were bailing out of the states because the income tax rates really can kill you when you're kind of living on half income. But rental income is also exempt. So it's starting at 62. The state income taxes start phasing out. And by 65 or 66, whatever, I think it's almost 100%. It's a tremendous deduction that you get. So, but most people don't realize that dividends and rental income and stuff are treated at a much different tax rate. than you do normal capital gains and everything else. So just something that a lot of people do not understand. I didn't understand when I started in the real estate how valuable this was until I started seeing the tax returns and how much was being sheltered. So just think about it. And you'll see real estate, it'll actually be kind of going sideways like this, and then all of a sudden it goes way up. You'll see it come down and then go back up. And I've shown the long-term charts for real estate before, and it tracks very closely to like gold and silver. Yeah, well, the problem is, again, you're looking at things in a very short period of time. I've had real estate since 1984, and it's way outperformed gold and silver, platinum, everything. And again, I'm being paid. This is what you don't forget, or what you forget. I'm being paid every month to hold my real estate. You don't get jack shit with your damn, excuse my language, but I'm telling you, gold and silver doesn't pay you anything. It's just a rock sitting there. So I'm kind of with Buffett a little bit that, but you got to have that insurance, and that's why I have a small percentage of it sitting on the side as insurance. But real estate's going to protect you even in hyperinflation and everything. So it's done very well. Well, the funny thing is, so I'm glad you brought that up about the socialist system. So when we went through this COVID, we weren't allowed to evict problem tenants and stuff, and that caused a lot of problem unless you had your properties debt free. The courts would listen to you if you didn't. You just had to say, "Look, I don't have a loan with the government, so therefore, if I got a problem tenant, you can toss them out." So there's a lesson there that it'd be better, even though I think leveraged real estate is much more profitable in this type of realm where they're dictating to you what you can and can't do with your tenants. You're probably better off getting these things paid off. Fortunately, the one tenant that, or the one house that I was having trouble, it was in an IRA, and that house was paid off. So I was able to throw them out at the beginning of last year. Well, I'm going to tell you, Dave Ramsey's a smart guy. He lost it all, folks, and he lost it all due to excessive leverage. He does not like leverage on real estate. Now, I agree with this single leverage, where you at least have 50% equity or something. That's the way to do it. But do not over leverage your properties. That's how you get killed. I'll tell you, if you've been through some I've always been a very conservative investor. But I will tell you, real estate is probably the most profitable thing you can do, and it really compounds quickly. I know some people with 50 plus homes. And man, that's a great goal down the road. Truthfully, I think if you're going to do it, buy these quad units or something. What do they call them? It's a house that has 4 apartments in it. That's the best thing. Get something like that and get several of those, because the profitability on those is way higher than individual homes. At some point, I may do I can't remember what it's called, a 529 transfer or something like that, where I can go buy an apartment complex and sell my other properties, or sell the properties and go buy an apartment complex. As long as you're buying something of equal or greater value, you can do that. Well, I will tell you this, everybody has all these concerns that we're going to go to hyperinflation and everything, even though it hasn't happened. Will it happen? I don't know. But so far, real estate has held up perfectly. And I've shown those examples side by side with gold and silver since like 1960, because that's the experience that I have for my real estate. So right now, everybody can try to make excuses for not being diversified. But I'll tell you, what'd you learn in kindergarten? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's all I try to teach, and that's the way I live. Well, Dave Ramsey needs a little education about currency insurance. And again, when I say insurance, I'm saying 10 to 20% of your portfolio. That's all. Don't go crazy, folks. Because it is, so many people have been in these precious metals for decades, and they're not getting anywhere. You can make a heck of a lot more money being somewhere else. Like I said, you get paid every day in real estate, every month anyways, plus the tax advantages. And a lot of you are forgetting about the capital gains when you cash this stuff out too. If you're an honest person, you're going to be reporting your capital gains with your metals just to get paid. Will the silver COMEX or the gold COMEX ever break? Hard to say. There's some folks that are playing games trying to drive things up, but I think these are smart, savvy investors that are driving it up and taking profits. So I don't know that they call them, what was it, diamond hands and all that. Well, it doesn't look like that's really the case. I didn't say you should be buying real estate, all the time. Remember, I bought mine when they were half price, short sales and foreclosures. And, once you get your, I'd say, all your repairs done and you have your profitability where it needs to be, it's basically bulletproof. It's the same thing with precious metals. You just don't buy at the high. If you're trying to buy now, you missed the boat, folks, primarily. You really should have been buying in 2018. So, yeah, fourplex. That's what it was, Dino. Yeah, there's a time to buy and everything. There's other time. I kind of was talking about even a year ago, it's time to pull into the shell and not be sticking your neck out, because we saw some things coming and we didn't know exactly how the government was going to react. So there's a time for everything. And if you're playing baseball, you don't go up there and try to hit a home run every single time. The manager would kill you. He's kind of telling you sometimes you got to bunt, sometimes you got to walk. And then sometimes he says, okay, we got to go, swing for the fence. He gives you the green light, but that's the way you invest. Well, I will tell you this, back in 2012 or 2000, was it 10 to 12 or something? Rents did kind of go down some, but again, if you're not over leveraged, it's no big deal. Again, it's you get all these tax advantages, so it's still a wash. Sometimes are much more profitable than others, but it's still, I blew away. I dumped gold and silver to go buy real estate because it was a no-brainer, folks, back in 2012, and it ended up paying off. So that's what you got to look at it. And by the way, at some point, your precious metals are going to be overvalued. You got to rotate them. Now, you may hold on to 10% of the precious metals you got, but you're going to rotate into something that's undervalued. That's the game you play. I told you, I'm not in love with my precious metals and miners. They are a trade for this period of time. We'll see what happens. Silverliner, you are not escaping capital gains. All you're doing is bypassing reporting requirements. You are still legally responsible for reporting your capital gains. That's a mistake a lot of people make. They think just because there isn't any reporting at the precious metal dealers, like especially if you bought Eagles or Buffaloes, there's no reporting requirements buying or selling no matter the quantity, but that doesn't mean that you get to bypass the IRS, just like the crypto guys thought they were going to bypass the IRS, and they all got letters from the IRS saying, hello, we'd like you to report your capital gains. So don't think for a minute that you're bypassing. There's too much of this at stake for our currency. So a lot of these government agencies, just like we're hearing a lot of mumbling about the cryptos, it's not going to surprise me at some point if they come out with their own crypto or quantum QFS. I forget what it was called. They're going to come out with something, and it's going to be it'll be dictated. This is what you use. Jim Richter is in the house. Steve Baker thinks silver is still undervalued, even with 30 or 40% premiums. Well, okay, if you think that's a deal, go ahead. Silver sold in 2011, his precious metals and bought real estate. So, yeah, barter's the way to do it. Well, you say $2 over spot, but what are you buying? I mean, if you're buying rounds and stuff, you just don't get that buyback premium that you get with the Eagles. I always say stick with the U.S. Mint coins if you're in the U.S. or because you just get and what do you call it? It's got the biggest trust, and you want to be able to be liquid. Oh, 90%. Yeah, well, that's not really $2 over spot when you got to look at you're only 90% silver to begin with. Yeah, I started some more chicks in the incubator. Things have been kind of warm, although we're going to have a few days of colder weather here, so I probably won't be collecting any eggs for the incubator this time. But I got like 14 loaded up from the warm weather we just had, and I'm going to try to at the end of this week, the following week, I'll load up the rest of them. I don't have any intention of getting the vaccine. I'm just a healthy, dang person, folks. I don't need anything like that. So, and I'm in an area right now where it doesn't matter. But if all of a sudden I'm going to be traveling, you never know. Might have to do something. I still hope that I can bribe someone to tell them that I did get the jab, and then that way I'll have my passport stamped. We'll see. These things aren't very effective, anyways. There was a whole hoorah about one of the vaccines. And by the way, I hate it that they're calling them vaccines because they're not. Vaccines, so it's a joke. Any tornadoes? So within 2 hours of here, there were a lot of tornadoes and a lot of damage. So all around this area, there were a lot of tornadoes. I mean, it wasn't like what you get in Kansas. These are like smaller ones, but apparently there was lots of tornadoes. '62, listening to me meander, giving you my scientific wild ass guesses to everything. 63 and only 21 likes. I must not be doing a great job here. Should have a lot more likes here, shouldn't I? But I want to reiterate, you can't help anybody if your cup is empty. So think of your body as a battery. It's got to be recharged. And you can't just constantly be giving. A lot of us are that way, but you got to recharge. So get yourself several hobbies. I mean, I've been working a lot of things here lately, trying to get my boat ready. The weather kind of kicked up and is not been, helpful. But I want to get back out there and finish getting that thing ready because I want to get that on the water in April. We should start getting some warmer days, and I'll be out there. Try to catch me some catfish and stripers and stuff. Oh, got some Canadian maples. I did get a couple of those. You might remember a video that I did where we talked about the Incuse design, and they have a lot of these really small, fine lines. I thought that was a really nice design that they did. Yeah, you might want to, if you just got on, you might want to watch the beginning of my video because I try to give you some helpful advice. And I tell you, I need to listen to my own advice because I don't recharge as much as I should. But I'm actually in a really good point in my life right now, though. I think about so many of my friends retired so late and they're struggling with a lot of health issues where I retired 4 years ago. Can you believe I've been retired 4 years? And I just feel so doggone good. I mean, my mental, my health, physical, I'm in really good shape how many of you even think I'm 61 years old today? A lot of people think I'm much younger than that. Probably need to do something with this gray hair that probably help me a little bit, tone it down a little bit. I don't worry about what anybody else thinks, to tell you the truth. And I've never been one that you have like alphas and sigmas. I've always kind of, when I looked at these different categories, I always felt I was a sigma. I don't worry what anybody else thinks. I've always just tried to figure it out myself, and I'm a self-learner, and I just decide. We'll see what happens down the road. But right now, I'm gonna tell you, when anything's new, that's usually a bad idea. If it hadn't been really tested, let the other guinea pigs freaking screw themselves up. I mean, that's the way you do it. And then eventually the data will come in and tell us whether it's worth it or not. But man, I'll tell you, I'm not a big thing about, trying the latest, greatest stuff. Let the bugs get worked out. God knows I worked in an industry where we had a lot of newfangled things, and it took a long time to work out the bugs. Something big is coming this week. Not sure if it's silver, stock market thing, whatever. And I keep hearing that something big is coming as well. But I don't know if that's just a big sales pitch to kind of stir people up to do things. But it feels like we're about ready to snap on something. So we'll see. Jim Richter says, I'm a wise man. Well, thank you very much. I'm just passing on hard learned lessons. Maples had some kind of algorithm fraud security, DNA they call it. Jay Ward, thank you. Happy birthday, Dobbs. Canadian currency exchange really done well in 2011. This is my last year working. Great. I highly recommend retirement to anyone if you can figure out how to get it done. It's like the best thing in the world. I do not really kill myself anymore like I used to in the past. And I've just about got through this terrible work ethic I had at work, where it's just, I was constantly having to improve things. It just was ingrained in you, and you just got up so dang early, you worked late. I've tried to really, really slow down now. And I think it's helped a lot. My whole outlook on life is vastly improved. I see great things in the future. And I'm going to be doing great things on this channel too, as time permits. But Josh Matthews just got there. Oh man, I'm so happy for you. So Lawrence Franklin said, hey, Dobson, check this out. It may be starting. And then he doesn't have anything there. So we all have to guess what he's talking about. Let me look real quick to see what the gold and silver prices. No, they're not doing anything right now. So that's not it. So Lawrence Franklin, what's starting? Eminem, I'm a gold guy, but I'm hearing it's something with silver. Well, that may be. Remember, we hold a little bit of silver. I've always recommended holding some, just not a lot, just some, because it's a huge speculation. We got 29 likes. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to be wrapping it up here in less than 2 minutes, because I don't like to run this long, even though we have excellent participation. I appreciate you guys. I always try to get a video in on the weekend, a live stream. And I'm hoping that I can get a higher technology type thing this year. I just got to figure it out. I just got to spend the time. But it's tax time now, folks. You're going to have to forgive me, because I got to go through my taxes, and that's a big rigmarole. So that's about a 2-week episode. And once I get through that, then I'll feel like I got some breathing room. But then the lake's going to be calling too. All right, so let's see. I think it's China tech bond failure. Nomura. I did read something about that earlier. Silverliner, I'm driving 3,500 miles a week, and I'm looking forward to my trip to Caribbean. Holy crap, must be a truck driver. 3,500 miles a week. Good golly, Miss Molly. That's like, the Californian halfway back again. That's a lot. Man, I feel for those kind of jobs. I drive 2 hours one way and then 2 hours back, and man, my calves ache that night. I gotta, go walk somewhere to kind of get everything moving out. It's like my hamstrings get all tight. I don't know what it is. Just stuff when you get older. Well, anyways, I hope everybody's been treating you well. I hope you're doing well. Do the best you can. God bless.